Charmaine. Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. I'm super excited to be here with you. So today we're going to be talking about 3 steps that you can take and start looking at weight release from a perspective different than the diet industry. So this is not just about weight release, and it's also about just feeling healthier and feeling more energized and feeling more confident in your own skin. And a really big part of my passion is I don't want this to be on a diet that you can never maintain and you can't really enjoy food and life to the fullest. So I pretty much teach the opposite of what the diet industry teaches. So yeah, give me a thumbs up if, upgrading how your body looks and feels is up your alley, if that resonates for you. Okay, awesome. Welcome, Sherry. Nice to have you here. And let me know also with a thumbs up, is having your weight release or your, any health changes you make, would you like it to be permanent rather than just maybe like that yo-yo, on the wagon, off the wagon, motivated, not motivated? Okay, awesome. You resonate with that, Lindsay? I see a thumbs up. Okay, awesome. And then does anyone feel like it would be nice to be able to do this in a way that you still have some enjoyment with food and you don't have to be eating like rabbit food and salads all day to see the result? Because that's important to me. Okay, awesome. You're in the right place. So my intention for today is to show you and not to try to convince you, just to share from my experience how an enjoyable and a more holistic approach. And when I say holistic, I mean, we're not just talking eat less, exercise more, also looking at your stress and your sleep and just some other factors that impact our weight as well. But to show you that an enjoyable and holistic approach to weight release is the key. And I'm going to show you kind of step by step what that looks like. Give you kind of an over the shoulder view of how I went from struggling with my weight for 20 years, doing a million diets, to now being in a place where I feel really good in my own skin. I don't even think about dieting. And so I'm excited to show you that. And also not just me, I've also helped a lot of other women too. So I like to share some examples. This is Rebecca. She had dieted most of her adult life and she was about to go on another diet. And then she kind of stumbled across my approach, which is more about, learning to love your body and trust your body and change your mindset. And so she was able to release 28 pounds in 12 weeks with the learnings and the tools that you're going to learn today. And she's just continued that weight release on her own. So I just like to share some examples like that. Okay, so I want to know what's your intention. So I shared my intention is to show you that a fun, enjoyable approach is the key, that a more holistic look, we're going to dot all the I's, cross all the T's. We're not going to leave anything out. That's what my intention for today, and to have some fun. But I want to know, what's your intention for your body? What brought you here? What made you say, I want to learn something about getting healthier and maybe releasing some weight? So pop in the chat. Just in general, how do you want to look? How do you want to feel? How do you want to perform? Some people say, I want to be able to move pain-free. I want to move with more ease. I want to feel more energetic and confident. Some people say, I want to look more fit. I want to look stronger. I want to look more beautiful. I want to look good in what I wear. I don't want all my clothes to be so tight. So put in the chat, what's your intention for your body, for your health? What kind of brought you here today? Just so I can also kind of cater it to you and your desires. Some people call it an intention. Some people call it a goal. Some people call it a, wish. I like the word intention. Kind of use them interchangeably though. And I want to quickly share, while you're doing that, the reason I changed it from weight loss to weight release is that when we lose weight, we often find it back, right? When we lose something, it's always possible to find it back. And so I've been studying neurolinguistic programming and the power of words in our brain. And when we say we are going to release weight, it's so much more powerful than saying I'm going to lose it, because often what we lose, we find. So whenever I say weight release, you can sort of equate that to weight loss, but I feel like it's a lot more powerful to use the word release. I use them interchangeably sometimes too, though. Okay, so Susan, Energy, self-confidence. You want to like yourself in the mirror. That's such a beautiful intention. Welcome, V. Let me know your name so I can call you out by name if you like in the chat. Okay, so here's what we're going, as you're putting your intention in the chat, that's awesome. I'm just going to give you a quick overview what you're going to discover today. So first, we're going to cover why embracing your love of food, yes, even ice cream, pizza, wine, carbs of any type, is actually going to help you drop pounds. And I'm going to share, I know that might sound silly and like I'm lying to you when I say that, but I'm going to explain that. And then the second one is, well, let me ask you first. Have you ever felt like you have to either be like perfect on a diet or like don't even try at all? Has anyone ever had that kind of all or nothing mentality with food? A little bit? Okay, I see some head nods. Anyone ever felt like losing weight has to be painful? It has to mean deprivation. It has to mean, you know, giving up your favorite things. Has anyone ever had that kind of like, here we go, we're gonna have to clean out the pantry and no fun happening now? Yeah, so I'm excited to share a more enjoyable approach where you get to still have some of your favorite things in moderation. Okay. Lindsay, intention is to move into a place where I don't even think about my weight. Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Okay, the second thing we're going to cover today is the must-have mindset. So what happens above the neck so that you can stay on track with your goals for life. I don't know why everybody's not talking about this mindset stuff because it's so important. We can know everything about nutrition. We can know how to eat healthy. And if our mind isn't aligned with our goal, we're always going to self-sabotage. We're always going to fall short. So I'm excited to share that. Anyone ever been on that yo-yo kind of, okay, I'm motivated, I'm not motivated, I'm on track, I'm off track? Anyone ever felt like that kind of roller coaster effect? Yeah. So I'm excited to share kind of how to keep your motivation steady. So it's not like an up and down thing. And then the third thing is how to have time and energy to focus on yourself, your health, your goals, even if your life is full, even if you're tired, even if you might be overwhelmed. I don't know about you, but the world's crazier than ever right now. So anyone feel like, oh man, I want to get healthy, but like, I'm just not sure if I can commit anything more to that. Anyone feel kind of like exhausted? Yeah. So I'm going to share some good tools for that too. Okay, so let me know in the chat, which are you most excited to learn? Which one resonated when you heard me talk about it, where you're like, yes, I need that? Was it number one, why embracing your love of food will actually help you release pounds? Was it number two, was it the mindset? How do I stay motivated long-term? Or was it number three, how to have time and energy to focus on your goals? So let me know in the chat. Okay, Victoria put two. So the mindset piece. Welcome, Britt. Nice to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Okay, I see another two from Susan. Amazing. Yeah, that's my favorite one. So that's awesome. But we're going to cover all of them. I just love to know what resonates for each person. Okay, so quick, as you're putting that in the chat, quick housekeeping, how to get the most out of this. I would really invite you, if you haven't already, grab a pen and paper because I'm going to ask you to write a few things down. I'm going to say, jot this down. And then also, there's been studies on this. If you listen passively, you're going to retain about 10% of what you learned today. If you write it down, it goes up to about 60% just from the taking active notes. And so that's a big increase. And then how do you get it closer to like 100%? Is you actually stay high energy and you participate in the chat and you think about how can I apply that to my life? And you're like a really active participant. So give me a yes in the chat if you're excited to be really active today and be an active participant. Oh, Britt, look at that little man. He's so cute. My little guy turned 3 today. So I remember those old days with the babies. And then I invite you, shut down distractions, put Facebook away because it's always pinging at us, put the emails away and just be so present for you and your goals because you're going to get way more out of it if you are. I know I used to go on all these web classes and I would just kind of be multitasking, cleaning my rooms, doing laundry, and then I would, at the end, I'd be like, oh, that wasn't that great. I didn't learn that much, but it's because I was trying to do too many things at once. And yeah, be open to new things. I know sometimes we get in a rut and we think, oh, I know that already, or, But I just invite you, be open to a new approach, some new ideas. Sometimes our brains don't want new things. They just want to stay, safe and play the same. And so I just invite you to be open and then playful out, get in the chat, be vulnerable. Just so you know, you're not being recorded. It's just me. I'm just recording it in case I want to send it out, but you're not being recorded in case you're thinking I might be on video. Okay, so yes, we're excited. We're going to play full out. Let's get a thumbs up. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, amazing. And yeah, if you ever need to just get up, stretch it out, we'll have a couple of little movement breaks too, because I love to move. But first I want to jump in here. So I want you to tell me, what's your biggest challenge? So we talked about a couple of minutes ago, what's your intention for your body? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? So how do you want to move? So that's awesome. And now I want you to go a little bit, it's not as fun to talk about it, but what's your biggest thing that's prevented you from getting there? Is it time? Is it you don't know what to do? Is it you don't know how to stay motivated? Some people, one person said last week, I'm too rigid and then I fall off track and I'm too all or nothing with food. Some people say I always sabotage myself. So yeah, put in the chat, just take a moment to think about I know what I want. I'm here and this is where I want to get. And what's been the thing up until now that's stopped you up until now? And I always say up until now because today's a new day, right? We don't have to let that old challenge define us for the rest of our lives, right? So, okay, let's see who is writing in the chat. Someone, Suzanne said, how and where to start. There's so much out there. There's so much ways you could go with it. Not having support. Britt said motivation. Yeah, craving maybe junkier foods. Especially when you have a little baby, that's extra challenging, all that stress. Victoria said time management. Yeah, so just figuring out how do I carve out time for this? Awesome. So yeah, keep putting those in the chat. And I could teach you a lot of strategies. Okay, here's what to eat, here's what to do, but I think it's good to point out to ourselves, okay, this is the thing that's gotten in my way, and just being honest with ourselves. Because once we shine a light on our obstacle, that's when we start to be able to say, okay, there's other people that have had this obstacle, they've figured it out. And a lot of today is going to also be shining a light on, okay, how do we overcome those obstacles? But I think it's so important to admit to ourselves, which is painful. I don't like to admit to myself that maybe my excuse or my reason for not succeeding in different areas is something that's actually workable. It's sometimes painful to admit, but the truth is others have faced similar challenges and overcome them. And because of that, what brings me hope and what can bring you hope is you can too. So does anyone feel like, okay, yeah, this challenge has been maybe my challenge for 10, 20, 30 years. And maybe today is the day when I actually am going to cross it off my list and it's not going to define me anymore. So yeah, I saw Victoria, big thumbs up. I think that was Victoria. Yeah, I love that. Look at that smile. Okay, amazing. So we're going to talk about all of those challenges today. We're going to cover all of those. So I would just want to quickly share what I learned from me. I know some of you I have met before and some of you I haven't. So let's do a super quick intro. My name is Charmaine. I live in Calgary, Canada. I have a Bachelor of Kinesiology, which basically I spent 7 years at university learning how the body moves, how to feed the body. I did a lot of sports psychology work. I've been a fitness trainer and a nutrition and mindset coach for 12 years. I've helped thousands of people in person. Me and my husband owned our own studios for many years. And then also I've shifted fully online now. And what's maybe more important than all the credentials is I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be overweight. I battled myself. I battled my weight. I battled my body image. I did 20, 30, 40 different diets. I was a personal fitness trainer and I still struggled with my weight. Even though I knew what to do, I was still struggling. So does anyone feel like, man, I know what to do. I don't do it. I was beating myself up. I felt embarrassed. Did so many diets, gimmicks. It's sort of embarrassing. I could talk for a while about how many silly things I tried to lose weight. I remember rubbing coffee beans on my butt because I heard that would help with cellulite, and took different pills and potions. And I share that because I knew better. I studied this in school and I still was trying to find the quick fix. So what I really wanted was just to lose weight and finally keep it off, release weight, I should say. I wanted to just have food be food and not have so much drama and stress around food. Can anyone relate to that? It's like the amount of time and energy spent on food thoughts. And what I really wanted, which I used to be embarrassed to say this, but I wanted to feel good, naked. I wanted to not feel like I had to cover up when I went swimming or, turn the lights off whenever I was going to be intimate with my now husband, I guess. And, I also just wanted to go in my closet and be able to pick an outfit that felt good instead of always changing my outfit 3-4 times and still not liking what I saw in the mirror. So can anyone relate to any of those? Just wanting some peace with your body. Yeah. So I'll share this really quickly, but I did one. I was like, okay, after doing like 30 different diets, I thought, okay, I just need to be stricter. I just need a more hardcore goal. And Sherry's heard me share this story. Sherry's heard me, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do a fitness show. I'm going to do a fitness competition. And has anyone seen those competitions or done one or yeah? So I was like, okay, I'm going to hire a coach. The coach put me on a huge calorie deficit. I was eating 1,000 calories a day. It was all low fat. That was his approach. I totally don't agree with that approach now that I know what I know. I did tons of weightlifting. I did tons of cardio. I remember 1 hour every day on the treadmill, just slogging it out. And it worked, quote unquote. I lost 30 pounds in about 12 weeks. My six pack was showing. I got up on that stage and, I guess it depends on what your definition of success is. The next thing that happened was I got feedback from the judges and they said, you'd have to drop at least 20, 30 more pounds to be competitive. Your butt is not lifted enough. And like, they just gave me all this feedback on my physique, which someone who struggled with body shame my whole life, it was horrible. It made my mindset even worse about my body. And then as many diets, when we deprive ourselves long enough, we kind of lower our own fat burning ability. And I don't know if you ever noticed this, but for every deprivation, there's always a swing. Has anyone ever experienced the swing? Like, okay, I've been so good. I've been eating so healthy. And now I just want to eat the things that I've deprived myself of. So that's what happened to me. I gained back all the weight that I lost, plus a little bit more. And it was just so bad for my mindset, my health, my energy. And I'm actually glad it happened because it was such a stark change that I realized I can't do this again. And so that's what kind of led me to conclude for myself that lasting weight loss will never come from an extreme diet. And I had to find a new way. And I jot this down if it resonates, write this down, but old ways won't open new doors. And that quote, I used that quote. I'm like, Charmaine, old ways won't open new doors. Doing one more diet is not going to end the diet train. There's not going to be the perfect diet out there. You have to figure out a better way. And so I set off to find that better way. I wanted to have fun with food and with life. I wanted it to be holistic. I wanted to take care of my mind, my body, my spirit. And I wanted the loving piece I didn't realize what the loving piece was, but I'll share that in a minute. So it took me about 7 years. After I did that extreme diet, I said, okay, I got to find a better way. And so I started going to retreats to learn about emotional eating recovery and holistic eating and how do some people have a nice relationship with food? Well, some of us struggle and diet our whole lives, I did seminars, I read books, I did online courses, I did group coaching programs. And, I share this just because I'm excited to kind of condense that down for you. But the result was now I can look at, I spent 7 years of relentless study and work and trial and error. But the result was now I get to look in the mirror 7, 8 years later, and I like what I see. The way I eat and the way I do life is just a lifestyle. It's not like, oh, I'm on a diet and then I'm off a diet. And I just share that not to impress you, just to impress upon you that it's possible. And I believe you could do it a lot quicker than 7 years, not having to do all the trial and error. So let's jump into step number 1, which is all about, embracing food, embracing your love of food. So I asked this earlier, but does anybody relate to kind of feeling like you got to be perfectly eating or else like don't even bother? Like you got to be super rigid. Some of you are like, yeah, sort of. So first I want to ask, when you think about losing weight for yourself, what comes to mind first? Put it in the chat. Whenever I ask this, a lot of people are like, oh, I got to exercise more, or I got to eat less calories, or I got to, cut out certain foods. So yeah, tell me in the chat, when you think of weight release or weight loss, what's the first thing you think? Yeah, so Victoria put, just so you know, Victoria, you did it just direct to me, but that's fine. Eating less food, not eating what you want. You got to do a lot of meal prep. Yeah. Britt said 80-20. Yeah, and I love the 80-20 principle actually. So I'll chat about that in a minute. So yeah, usually people think of, I got to be on a diet. I got to be really careful with food, obsessed with food. And there's some pitfalls to that. So the pitfalls, you'll invest a lot of energy and time and money without really ever having a lasting result. And studies show that 95% of dieters who restrict themselves will gain back the weight within a year. So that's not really a very compelling stat. And for me, I want sustained results. I don't want to just lose it to gain it, to lose it to gain it, to do the yo-yo my whole life. And also it's not enjoyable. I'm a huge fan of joy and bliss, and I think life should be fun. Look at Britt's little guy smiling. So I'm a big fan of that. So this is, when I used to, think food was, I had to deprive myself. I had to eat boring food. I had to be on a diet. I had to be so perfect or do nothing. I weighed and measured my food, but I'd lose the weight, but I'd gain it back. And then now that I'm not afraid of food and I embrace the fact that every human being on the earth loves to eat and enjoys food, I'm not so extreme. So because I let myself have pizza on a Friday night, because I let myself have a glass of wine, and I'm not telling myself that I'm bad or I should feel ashamed about it, it's changed my relationship. So I'm not so drawn to eat the junky stuff. And when I do have it, I have one and I savor it and then I'm done with it. So you could also jot this down. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change. And that's so much more powerful, because if you change your lifestyle in incremental ways and enjoyable ways, then you're not going to fall off the wagon. There's no wagon to fall off because you've just created a beautiful lifestyle for yourself. So I want to share with you, okay, so how could you actually eat your favorite foods and not gain weight, right? Does anyone kind of feel like, yeah, that doesn't compute because of all the years of diet culture? Yeah, I see a little smirk, Victoria smirking. So I want to share this approach that I came up with over the last 7 years, and I call it the moderation over deprivation strategy. So write this down if it resonates. This strategy involves you eat delicious and nutritious foods most of the time and allow treats in moderation too. Now, Britt said 80-20 a minute ago, and I honestly do teach that 80-20. If you eat delicious, nutritious foods 80% of the time, then about 20% of the time, your body can handle some junkier stuff that maybe it's not so healthy, right? But I want to share, how does that actually work, right? So I like to share examples. This is Michelle. She came to me and she was all or nothing. She'd done 10 different diets. She always had to cut out foods she loved. She's from West Africa, so they eat a lot of rice. And she said, every diet plan I've ever been on, they always say I can't have my white rice. And I said, well, this is going to be different because you're going to have your white rice that you love, but we're also going to make some upgrades in other ways. And you're going to have maybe a smaller portion, and we're going to make sure you have some protein with it. So it's not just causing you to have a blood sugar spike and then hold weight. And so some of the steps that we worked through, these are the 5 steps. So for the purpose of today, we could be here for the next 6 hours and I could really, go through them very in depth, but I want to just do a quick introduction. First, we have to work through the all or nothing mentality. So if you have that mentality, like I have to be perfectly on track, or I might as well not bother, or maybe someone can relate to, like, you see someone brought donuts to work and then maybe you're like, I shouldn't have one. And then you have one and then you're like, oh, fuck it. I ruined my diet for the day. Now I'm just going to have 3 more. Has anyone ever kind of done that? Oh, what the hell? Yeah. So it's the most common. That's why I talk about it on the web class, because it's the most common, most damaging weight release mindset that most people have. So we got to work through that. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that. We got to get rid of food shame, because when you feel ashamed of yourself and what you just ate, when you feel ashamed, are you like, let's go for a walk and drink water and eat healthy? Or are you like, I'm just going to keep eating because I feel like a bag of shit and I'm beating myself up? So usually when we feel bad about ourselves, we make poor choices, right? And so that's why food shame is such a never ending cycle, because it's like you make a poor choice, you beat yourself up for it, and then you feel even worse. So you go down that hole and then it repeats itself, right? So we got to work on that. Peaceful eating. So how do you eat your food? If you're always eating on the run, if you're always eating standing at the fridge or standing at the pantry, you're going to overeat. You're not going to enjoy what you're eating. And then it's this never ending cycle as well. And some people don't know this, but if you're standing while you're eating, you actually hold more calories from the same amount of food versus if you're sitting. So I like to share, this is a longer topic, but sit to eat. Savor what you're having. Put the food on a plate and let yourself have it, because you're going to end up eating way less. Oh, there's another little baby girl. Victoria's got a little girl with her. Managing stress and emotion. So this is very strong. There's a very strong correlation between stress and overeating sugary, carby, salty foods. Has anyone ever felt that connection? Like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, maybe I'm exhausted, and I just want to eat the world. So we talk about that because it's not just you're this crazy food lunatic, it's a physiological thing. If you're chronically stressed or under-rested, or you have a lot of high emotions like sadness or frustration or fear, your body says, Britt, you're not safe. Your cortisol rises and your body says, eat now, eat a lot, and eat high energy foods. Don't eat broccoli, eat sugar, drink wine, have a cookie, have a piece of cake, have some chips, because your body's in survival mode. It's not like thrive mode. Let's eat healthy and be present. It's like, give me food now. So we work a lot on how can we release stress in healthy, simple ways? How can we deal with our emotions rather than just eating them all the time? And then the last step is just some simple tools to raise your fat burning ability naturally. There's some different foods that do that. Staying hydrated really helps. Did you know that if you're dehydrated, your metabolism slows right down? So you actually burn way less calories at rest if you don't drink enough water. So that's a simple fix. Drink more water. Another thing is exercise, which I love. I'm going to share my love of exercise in a minute here. Actually, let's get up real quick and do a shake. We're halfway through the class, so let's just get up really quick and just spend a minute, just like shake your body, energize your body. You're actually going to get more from this class if your body is energized. So you could do some twists. You could just do some jogging on a spot. You could do some squats, anything that you could do some jumping jacks, anything you like. Come on, Sherry. Oh, poor Sherry with her broken wrist. You can still do some twists maybe. Okay, so move your body. So, you can move your body by going for walks. Obviously, everyone knows if you burn more calories, you're going to release some fat from your body. So that's always good. And then another thing is if you have a little bit of extra muscle mass from doing push-ups and squats and things like that, you burn more calories at rest as well. So that raises your natural fat burning ability. So those are some of that's the 5 steps. I want to just quickly touch on, the all or nothing mentality. We talked a little bit about that. And then, I'll just share an example. This is Rebecca, and one of her big challenges was she would eat when she was stressed. And she felt like she had to be perfectly on a diet or not bother at all. So we actually just worked on how can we do more self-care? How can we put little bouts of self-care and relaxation into your day? And then she found she was able to eat one cookie and be done with it rather than eat one cookie, feel bad about it, and then eat like 10 more. And she loves wine, but she started using more moderation, having one glass, savoring it rather than drinking like a whole bottle. And she loves takeout. So, you know, she does a lot of takeout meals. I love takeout. Anyone else love takeout? Oh my gosh, this last 2 years, I am ashamed of how much takeout. Oh, no, I'm not ashamed, but a little too much takeout. And instead of overeating, she would still have the maybe not so healthy takeout, but she would have a smaller amount and she would enjoy it. And maybe she'd bolster it up with, you know, cut some cucumbers and have it on the side with her pizza. So she wasn't always just having the junkier food. So it really does work. I know it sounds like a bit too good to be true, but it's a process, right? And the reason I think it's so important to really get to a place where you can enjoy food without the guilt and the shame is, you know, wouldn't you love to just not feel like you have to resist food and, you know, maybe just feel like food is nourishment and it's enjoyable, but it doesn't have a hold over you? Would anyone love that? Just food? You know, would anyone love to just not spend so much time on like thinking about food and feeling bad about food and stressing about what to eat and what not to eat? I know I used to waste a lot of energy doing that. And then, you know, this truly is possible to eat your favorite foods guilt-free and have a great body too. It's not going to be eating hot fudge sundaes all day long every day. No, it's going to be I think the key word is moderation. So yeah, the steps are really powerful. Some of them, I would be remiss to say, okay, take the 5 steps, go at it. You know, like some of them are hard. It's hard to not eat when you're feeling stressed and sad without some support and some practices. It's hard if you've been all or nothing with food your whole life to go, oh, I can be moderate with food choices, you know, and I can trust myself around food. So, you know, it's not going to happen overnight. And I do think it's so valuable to get to this place with food that you can just enjoy a lifestyle for the rest of your life. I will share quickly at the end, I do have a 12-week program. I don't share about it in the web class, but if you are like, I want to know more about this, I want some support to make this real in my life, then I always offer a complimentary call and we can just hop on the phone, talk about your goals, talk about your challenges, and I can share a bit more about what that program looks like. Sherry's actually in the program. Sherry, I love you when you come on. Sherry comes on these classes just for like a little boost, right, Sherry? Awesome. Okay, so who's excited about having a more moderate, enjoyable relationship with food? Yeah? Awesome. Yeah, Britt, you can do it in the US. You're pregnant again, Britt? Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Yeah, and you know, I don't think focusing on weight loss necessarily while you're pregnant is helpful. However, I'll share my story in a minute about that. That was when I had my big aha, was when I was pregnant and realized I don't want to live my whole life hating my body and struggling with food. So I definitely think you might have to approach things slightly different than someone that's not pregnant, obviously, but working on your mindset is always a good time for that. So, okay, number 2, now we're going to talk. So give me a yes in the chat if that you got some good takeaways, if you're getting some good notes so far, feeling a little bit inspired. We got some head nods. Okay, awesome. So step number 2 is the mindset piece. And this is good for anybody who feels like they're tired of the roller coaster, you know. Oh, I'm motivated. Now I'm not motivated. Oh, I've got a trip I got to get ready for. I'm excited. And now I've lose motivation. Or I've got a wedding to go to, and then I just lose motivation. Anyone ever felt like that? Like just like on and off? So this is going to be how to actually stay on track. So what makes us stay on track? Motivation. And that's kind of a loaded word. And I like to just separate it out. You jot this down. Motivation is simply just your motive for action. It's so simple, but we kind of, I think everyone throws the word motivation around, but I want to break it down for you. So there's two types of motivation or motives for your action. So think about for yourself, when you think, okay, I got to lose some weight, I got to get healthier, I got to raise my energy, I got to do this. What's your usual motivator? Is it step on the scale, don't love the number, clothes don't fit well? A lot of people say, my doctor said I have to lose weight or else I'm going to have to go on blood pressure meds or something like that. A lot of people say, I'm just tired of what I see in the mirror and not liking it. So a lot of people's motivation is stemming from what they don't want. I would say 95% of people use what they don't want to motivate change, which quote unquote works, and it only works short term. And that's why people have the motivation roller coaster, because they're like, oh, I don't like how I look, or I don't like my weight, or I don't want to look bad on vacation. So then they get motivated, but then as soon as they hit the goal, it drops, the motivation drops. Does that make sense? Or as soon as they get less pain, so like, oh, okay, my blood pressure is down a bit, so now I just kind of like go back to my old habits. So the motivation drops. So there's a way of motivating yourself that works far better than pain to push or negativity to get you going. And I like to share this quick story. I put this photo of my daughter because she's 6.5 now. But I had this big aha moment when I was pregnant with her. This is me pregnant with my daughter, whatever, 6.5 years ago. This is the only picture I could find of myself back then because I hated the way I looked so much. But I went to this birth course to learn how to have like a nice, healthy childbirth. And they did this exercise with us. It was kind of a hippy dippy thing. And they said, how do you describe your pregnant body? Just what's the first word that comes to mind? And I would invite you to do that right now. What's the first word that comes to mind when you just think of your physical body? And, maybe write it down. And I remember thinking, I can't say this out loud. Oh my God. And so they went around the circle and they got to me and I just blurted out FAT, 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 fat. And I burst into tears because I had this aha moment, like, holy shit, if I'm this mean to my body while I'm pregnant and growing a human life, I'm going to literally get to my deathbed never having liked my body. And I was like bawling and I was like a huge hot mess. And I realized it was a big, beautiful moment because I thought, how the fuck are you ever going to get out of this if you can't even be happy, like growing a baby? And so I made a commitment to myself that day that I was going to motivate myself to change, but not because I hated myself and not because I was too fat and not because I was too heavy. I was going to do it for that baby because I want her to have a good life and I wanted her to have all the ingredients for, being healthy. So I thought if I eat healthy, she'll be healthier. And I also just want to be there. Sadly, very sadly, my mom passed away. She never got to meet my daughter. And that's part of my motivation. I want to be here. I want to have a long life. And so my motive for action, this is my mom at my wedding. She died 3 months after my wedding from cancer. And so my motivation now is I want to have a loving, inspiring motivation. I want to be there for my kids. I want to inspire people. I want to live a long life instead of just, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to look ugly in the mirror. Now my motivation is love-based. It's motivating. It's inspiring. And so that's what I want you to do right now. I want you to think about what's your motivation, your motive for action. What's your why? Some people call it the why that could make you cry. I don't want to fucking die and not be there for my kids. I don't want to live in chronic pain like I used to. I used to have such bad knees and my back was always aching. So I know what I don't want. I don't want to look in the mirror and hate what I see for the rest of my life. So I knew what I didn't want, but then what changed my whole trajectory and my whole motivation to stop the yo-yo was, okay, what do you want? What are you going to focus on all the time? And so now I focus on what I want. And that's what I want you to do. Focus on what you want. What do you want? How do you want to look? Do you want to look sexy, lean, beautiful, confident? Do you want to move with ease? Instead of, I don't want to be in pain, what do you want instead? I don't want to weigh 300 pounds. What do you want instead? I don't want to look in the mirror and not like what I see. What do you want instead? Do you want to look in the mirror and love what you see? Do you want to put on an outfit in the morning and just feel like a badass queen because you just look your best? So I want, type in the chat. What do you want? What's your motive for action? What do you like? I could go on and on this topic, and we do focus on this for the first week of my weight release program because it's so important. If we don't know where we're going, and it's not based in motivation and inspiration and love, it's going to fall short. It's going to fall flat every time because there's just science behind it. If you have a negative motivation, it will push you, but only push you so far. And that's why having a loving, inspiring motivation is so critical to pull you. Okay, Susan, live a long, mobile life. I love it. Victoria, keep up with my kids as they grow. Yeah, be healthy for my kids, Britt says. So yeah, put your motivation in the chat. And, you know, truly, I know this is, I know I'm kind of beating the dead horse with this one, but it's true. You have to have a loving motivation if you want it to be sustainable. And so one more thing I'll share on this. I love this quote. This guy died a few weeks ago, Zig Ziglar. You could write his name down, Ziglar, Zig Ziglar. Did anyone know Zig Ziglar? Maybe he didn't die. No, Bob Proctor died. I shouldn't be talking. Anyway, they're so amazing. Bob Proctor died. Rest in peace. I love all these guys. They're these older men, but they have such great mindsets. And this one says, motivation doesn't last. Neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. And I'll share an example, like Sherry can attest to this. So we have twice a week calls with our weight release group. And we share our goal every week, and we say it like it's already happening, and we get excited about it. So it's not enough just to write your goal down and forget about it and put it in a drawer. You got to remind yourself of it daily. You got to get excited about it, because your energy and your excitement is what's going to push you and pull you to do the positive actions day after day after day. And consistent positive actions in the right direction is what's going to change your body and your life. Some people are looking for the magic pill or the quick fix. And the truth is, it's all about small, incremental, consistent changes in the right direction. And motivation is what's going to fuel that. And loving motivation is going to work way better. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, than trying to push yourself from a place of lack and I'm not good enough and I'm ugly and I'm fat or whatever you maybe have ever said to yourself. Okay, everyone tracking? Are we excited about this inspiration? Susan, Sherry, Victoria, Britt, Lindsay. We got Rachel rocking it out. Okay, amazing. And yeah, feel free to share in the chat. Sherry put lean, healthy, strong, long-lasting life with family. I want to love myself. Amazing. Lindsay said, I want to age strong and beautiful. Yeah, love it. Okay, so the third thing I want to share is how to have time and energy to focus on your goals, even with a full life. And, you know, I'm going to cut right to it. I could teach you a million time-saving strategies and all these things. I think the most important thing I want to say is the bottom line is if you today just embrace and fall in love with the fact that living in your healthiest body will actually save you so much time and energy in the long run, then you can kind of wrap your head around what you got to do next. And I'm going to share some ways to make your journey much easier, much quicker, much more, much more filled with ease and grace. But I think it's important to admit, like ask yourself, would you save time and energy if you just had your healthy habits that you enjoyed on autopilot? You weren't always trying to get back on a groove and then you're off groove and you're off track and on track. So would you save time if you just kind of had your healthy habits locked and loaded, easy, natural? Yeah. So I think, would you save time and energy if you liked what you saw in the mirror? You didn't have to change your outfit more than once. You didn't look and go, oh, and feel that low energy that comes with not liking it. Yeah. I see some of you kind of like laughing. Susan's laughing. What about if you just didn't have the physical and mental issues associated with not feeling good? I know when I don't move my body, I feel depressed. I feel really low mood. I know when I don't eat healthy, I start to have more physical ailments I have to go to the doctor for. So do you think you'd save any time or energy if you just were thriving at your best physically and mentally? Some people are like, yeah, maybe. And then, you know, would you save time and energy if instead of just thinking about getting started, today you just said, I'm getting started. Like, we're not thinking about it. We're not going to sit and overwhelm. We're just going to take one step today, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's drinking more water, whether, you know, anything, just getting started. Because the most wasted time is just procrastinating and thinking about, oh my God, I got to go do this for an hour and work out. And that's another thing I'll share is less can be more, and something is always better than nothing. So I think the all or nothing perfectionist people out there, you think you have to be perfect and clean out your cupboard and do an hour workout and, you know, do all these things. But what if you just made small incremental changes instead? Because those are the kind of changes that actually stick. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And then, you know, I'll share, you know, my old life, I wasted so much energy and time thinking about my weight, thinking about food. I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted. Now, you know, my time and energy, I can invest it into just living a great life. I feel energized. I feel at peace. And, you know, I didn't know if I could find energy and time. I was overwhelmed. And I can share examples like this is Begonia. She was like, I need to lose weight. I need to get healthy, but I'm tired. And I'm moving right now and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm in school. And I said, well, I promise you, if you start, you're going to buy back so much time and energy. And she did. She, in 12 weeks, she released 20 pounds. And then she was just able to keep that momentum going on her own. She's pregnant now, so she's gaining weight. I talked to her the other day, but she's like, well, she's not worried about it. She's like, that's normal, obviously, in pregnancy. But she gained back so much energy, so much confidence. And so I just want to really drive home that idea, like the greatest amount of wasted time is just thinking about all the reasons why you shouldn't start. But what if you just started today and made some small changes? Because, you know, 5 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now, 6 months from now, your life could look totally different, right? And I want to share one more little mindset shift. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what's your energy? Or no, sorry, yeah. What's your energy level right now? If 10 is like bouncing off the walls, so much energy, and 1 is like, oh, I'm exhausted. I would love to just crawl back into bed. Put it in the chat. What's your energy level? And I want to share, as you do that, I want to share this sort of mindset shift that I made. So I used to think of movement or exercise or physical activity as this like boring, energy draining, hard thing. Does anyone relate to that? Like, oh, it's so tiring. No one? Okay. Well, what I want to share, what I want to do for 1 minute right now is I want to share with you how exercise is actually can be so energizing. So I want you to get up one more time. We're almost finished here. I want you to get up one more time. Can you still see me or can you only hear me? Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to do this energizer. Now, I learned it at a Tony Robbins event, but you're going to literally come into like a bit of like a power stance, like a bit of a semi-lunge, and then you're going to pump your arms as fast as you can for 30 seconds with your one leg forward. Pump, pump, pump your arms. And so I want to share this because I used to think exercise was boring and it was just tiring. And then I started realizing, with the help of actually Tony Robbins, that exercise and movement can actually be so energizing. Okay, so 3 seconds more, 2 and 1, and then switch to your other leg in front, and 30 more seconds, pump your arms, pump them as fast as you can, back and forth, back and forth. Sherry, take care of that little wrist, that little broken chicken wing. Pump, pump up, go, 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 Susan. Yeah, go Britt, go Victoria, Lindsay. I know you're back there pumping those arms. I know you love your movement, Lindsay. Rachel, go, 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 go. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, awesome. So now you did 1 minute of movement, of exercise. Put in the chat your energy. Perhaps not to be a leading question, but did anyone feel a little more energized than when you were sitting there? So instead of thinking about exercise as, oh my God, I got to go do like an hour-long thing, I just incorporate little movement breaks like that into my day too. So I just want to put that in your mind, that my relationship with exercise used to be really negative, and I thought I had to do it and it was going to be painful. And now I think of exercise as a celebration of what my body can do and as a way of lifting my mood and my spirit and my energy. So does that make sense? Does that resonate for anyone? Yeah, we're smiling. Awesome. Okay, so the last thing I want to share about time and energy is modeling success. So Tony Robbins, obviously I really like him, but he says model success because success leaves clues. Now, I used to always think, well, Charmaine, you should just know how to do everything on your own. And I would try to reinvent the wheel. I would try to figure it out on my own. And then, like I shared, I can't do these diets anymore, piecemealing together a weight loss program. So I'm going to start actually modeling success. So for you, that might look like YouTubing people, watching videos, reading books. I knew I wanted a better relationship with nutrition. So I hired a nutrition coach. I knew I wanted to overcome all my stress and emotional eating tendencies. So I hired a coach that specialized in that and had already figured out the solution instead of trying to figure it out on my own. I wanted to start to like my body more and love myself and take care of myself. So I hired a self kind of love mindset coach. So I just really want to share that if we try to do it all on our own, like I did for 20 years, it takes so much time. It takes so much energy. It can cost endless amounts of money. And then when we actually model success, it can compress, years into days or weeks. You can save so much energy and frustration. Does anyone just feel frustrated? Like, just takes so long to figure all this out. And there's so much out there too. That's one of my passions, is like curating and working through all the new fads and stuff. And I know I always share with my clients, I don't know everything. I know what resonates and what seems true to me and what's worked for me. And that's all I ever share, because I'm not going to comment on something I never tried. Right. And just having a solution instead of a Band-Aid that, some people, like a diet to me is like putting a Band-Aid on a huge wound that needs like way more attention than a Band-Aid, because there's mindset stuff, there's lifestyle factors, there's old emotions attached to food that people often need to work through. There's more to it than just, here's your diet plan, eat cottage cheese and broccoli and you'll lose the weight, So that's what I want to share. A quick review of this third step. I invite you, we can write this down, reframe getting healthy as an energy and time saver. Instead of thinking, oh my God, it's gonna be so hard, just get started. Realize you're going to buy back years of life, quality of life. You're actually going to raise your energy so much. I owned Ironside Fitness as a fitness studio. And I would always tell people the first 2 weeks, you're probably going to be more tired. And then after that, your energy is going to skyrocket, right? So yeah, maybe there's a couple of weeks where it's harder, but then you buy back so much energy and time. Does that make sense? I know that's hard when you're kind of exhausted and overwhelmed, but it is the truth. And then seeing movement as an energizer. Did anyone like that tip? Like, do the arm pumps. If I'm feeling really sluggish in the afternoon, instead of going to eat something, I'll often just do that. And then I'll be like, am I still hungry or not? Because sometimes I just needed to move and get some blood flowing and some endorphins moving, So I would invite you to use that tip, and then get a system, whatever that looks like for you. But I love this acronym. System is save yourself time, energy, and money, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I can say that, this is a big topic. I wanted to pack as much as I could in an hour for you. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I loved it, I want to know, what is the roadmap to success? So these are the things that I include in my program. You got to have the nutrition dialed in. It's not a diet. It's just upgrading your nutrition in different ways. You got to have your lifestyle aligned. So get enough sleep, make sure your stress is under control, do some self-care in small ways, move your body. That's lifestyle. Mindset's so important. What's happening above the neck? Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to always sabotage yourself. So if you're like, oh man, I don't know if this is possible, I don't know if this is going to work for me, I always fail, I have no willpower. If you have all these old stories in your mind, those are going to sabotage you, guaranteed. So we got to work on the mindset. And then the last piece of the puzzle that I was missing for all those 20 years, when I struggled, I started my first diet at age 12. was support and accountability. You know, I always tried to do it alone, and it was so lonely, and I was always reinventing the wheel. So I want to just share that. And I'll close off by sharing this quote. This is one of my clients that just kind of graduated the program. She said, I probably could have written the book on diets, but I needed the accountability provided by this program to stick to it. And so literally she needed someone to hold her to her commitments and check in on her and care about her journey, because she tried to build on her own for so many years. She didn't need to know what to do so much. She appreciated the structure, but she, more than anything, she just needed someone to keep her to stick to her goals. Does anyone resonate with that? I need some accountability other than just myself. And my goal, I always tell people, is I don't want you to need me. However, for 12 weeks to create some new habits, having a coach to hold you to your commitments is like, it's researched, it's proven, it's, you know, accountability outside does work. So I just want to share, if you're interested in seeing if I could help you, you know, and learning a little bit more about the 12-week program, we'll talk about your goals. I do a call, it's complimentary. We just talk about your goals, talk about your biggest challenges. And if I feel like I could help you, I'll share that with you. And if I don't, then I also will share with you what I would recommend for next steps. So I always want to leave you better than I found you. So I just put in the chat the link if you want to book a call. I know I have a few openings this week. And this is really for someone who feels like, I know I need more support. I'm ready to make a change. I just need a little bit more guidance and direction and clarity. Okay, so that's the last thing. And I'll stay on for questions. If you have questions, I'll stay on. It was a privilege to be with you today. I want to say, I truly believe everyone deserves to thrive. I don't believe we were just put on this earth to survive and get through the day. I believe we were here to thrive and add value to the planet and enjoy our lives. And there's a quote I like to share. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is now. So don't think you're too late. Don't think, oh, I missed the boat. No, no, no. The best time to start is now. Those 10 years are going to go by, and then could look back and say, I wish I made a change, you know? So yeah, that's it. If you want to book a call, please use that link. And this is one last quote I'll share. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but take the step. So take a step, whatever that looks like for you, whatever resonates in your heart today. So much fun to be with you. If you have a question, pop it in the chat or pull yourself off mute. But I'm actually going to stop the recording right now. I'll stop the share. And I loved being with you all. This is my absolute passion, my pleasure. And I hope